Okay, today we're going to look at the characteristics of parabolas, which means we're going to learn about the different features and different parts of a parabola. To do that, you're going to need your copy of this handout where you've already graphed various quadratic equations. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill in this table and learn the different definitions of these various characteristics of a parabola, and then I'm going to show you the example for our equation y equals x squared down here in this chart. So as we go through this, you may need to pause the video to make sure you get the information copied down. The first feature we're going to look at is the vertex of the parabola, and this is where the axis of symmetry and the parabola meet. So basically it's the middle of the parabola, and it's also the max or min point. So we're going to talk about what the axis of symmetry is and the max and min point later. But for now, we're just going to look at the vertex. So the vertex in this parabola is right here. And our coordinates of our vertex for y equals x squared is 0, 0. The next feature we're looking at is our axis of symmetry, which we kind of shorten to AOS. And this is what divides the parabola in half. And it's an x value, and it's always the x coordinate of the vertex. So looking at our graph here, our axis of symmetry passes right through the middle of the parabola and right through the vertex. So this is a little bit messy, but this is our axis of symmetry. So our axis of symmetry for y equals x squared is x equals 0 because it's passing through x equals 0. Okay, the next feature we're going to look at is the zeros, and these are where the graph crosses the x-axis. And I want you to take note that it's where it crosses, not where it meets the axis. So in this equation, y equals x squared, the parabola never goes or never crosses our x-axis. So we don't have any zeros for this curve. The next features we're going to look at is our max and our min value and our optimal value. The max or min value is either the highest point or the lowest point of the parabola. A parabola has either a max or either a min. It doesn't have both. In our equation, y equals x squared, the lowest point on the parabola, it's a min point, and our lowest point is x equals 0, is at x equals 0. Just a reminder that we know the max min value is also the x value of our vertex. The optimum value is just the y coordinate of the vertex. So easy enough. We know our vertex is at 0, 0, and our y coordinate is 0. So our optimum value the y-intercept, easy enough, where the graph crosses the x-axis. Looking at our curve, we scroll up here, where it crosses the y-axis. Looking up here, we can see that our parabola crosses the y-axis right here on our vertex. So our y-intercept for this graph is y equals 0. Lastly, we're looking at direction of opening. All we have to do for that is state whether or not the graph opens up or opens down. Looking at our parabola, you can see that it is opening up. So we just say right here that it opens up. Okay, so before we look at another example, you need to make sure that you have all of this information copied down onto your handout. The next parabola that we graphed in class was y equals x squared minus 4. So the first thing you should do is find your vertex, because that's going to allow you to figure out a little bit more information without even reading the graph. So looking at our parabola, we can easily find our vertex right here. Coordinates of this vertex are x equals 0 and y negative 4. Our axis of symmetry is another easy one to find because we know it passes through our vertex. So here is our axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry for this parabola, the x value of the vertex, x equals 0. The max and min value, again, is information from the vertex. The vertex is always your max or min. So this parabola has a min value. The lowest point of the parabola is y equals negative 4. Go any further, I need you to go back to your front page of this handout and change your max and min value to being a y value. So it should be y equals 0 on your front chart. The y-intercept we need to read from our graph. This is where the curve crosses the y-axis. And on this curve, it's again right here at the vertex point. So in the last two curves, our y-intercept has been at the vertex. That's not always going to be the case, but again, it's y equals negative 4. The zeros are where the curve crosses the x-axis, and we have two. We have one here and one here. So the zeros for this curve are negative 2 and 2. The optimum value, the y coordinate of the vertex, negative 4, and this parabola is opening up. Okay, make sure you have this copy down before we do our next example. Hit pause if you need to. At the bottom of the page, we graphed y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. So we have our parabola graphed over here from a previous lesson. Now we need to look at our features again. So first thing, looking for our vertex. Here it is, right here. Going up, we see x1, y negative 9. So our vertex, 1, negative 9. Axis of symmetry is what is dividing our parabola in half, passes through our vertex right here. So our axis of symmetry, the x value of the vertex, x equals 1. Max and min value, once again, you can get this from your vertex, but it's also the lowest or the highest point on our graph. For this curve, it's opening up. All the other points are above it, so it's a minimum value. And the lowest point on the graph is y equals negative 9. Remembering that I've corrected that our max min is a y coordinate, not the x coordinate. The y-intercept, where the parabola crosses the y-intercept, right here. This is the first time we've seen our y-intercept not at the vertex. Our y-intercept is y equals negative 8. Zeros, where the parabola crosses the x-axis, there's 2, and there's always 2. One of them is at negative 2. That's right here. The other one is at 4, and that's right here. Optimum value, the y value of the vertex, negative 9. And our parabola today is again opening up. So once again, make sure you have this copied down before we move on and look at another one. All right, the next parabola we looked at was y equals 3x squared plus 6x. And we changed this equation to plus 6x when we graphed it in class. So looking for our vertex, we find our vertex right here. The x value of our vertex here, so -1. Y value of our vertex right here, -3. So our vertex, -1, -3. Our axis of symmetry, oh, I've changed my colors, that's okay, is passing through our vertex right here, dividing our parabola in half. X value of the vertex, axis of symmetry, x equals -1. Max or min value, this time our lowest point on our parabola is a min value, and it is y equals -3. Our y-intercept for our parabola, where our parabola crosses the y-axis, we see right here. So as y equals 0, the zeros where our parabola crosses the x-axis, one here and one here. So our zeros happen to be -2 and 0. Optimum value is the y coordinate of our vertex, so -3, and it opens up. Okay, so hit pause to make sure you have this copied down into your notes before I do our last example I'm going to do in this video. The last parabola I'm going to identify the features for is y equals -x squared plus 4. And this is what it looks like when we graphed it in class together. So our vertex for this parabola right here is at x2 and traveling over here y4. So 2 and 4. It's kind of messy, I'll fix that. The axis of symmetry, traveling through the vertex, dividing the parabola in half right here. The x coordinate of the vertex, x equals 2. Max or min value. This time our parabola has a max value. All the other points are below right here. So our max value, we have to identify that it's a maximum value. Everything is below y equals 4. The y-intercept, where our parabola crosses the y-axis right here, it's crossing at y equals, actually it's crossing at y equals approximately 1. If we look, we can see that it's just below, I'm going to highlight it in red, just below our point here. So there's our y-intercept. Our zeros, where we are crossing the x-axis, so here and here again. So our zeros are 0 and 4. Optimum value, y coordinate of our vertex, so 4, and this one opens down. Okay, so this concludes our video lesson on looking at characteristics of parabolas. Your job now is to fill in the characteristics of the last two parabolas in this booklet, and then you're going to apply this information to your Kaboom booklet. Okay. Thanks for watching.